Hey, this is Brian. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be wrapping the wood trim with carbon fiber vinyl wrap. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start on the door. What you want to do is get either a pick tool and a trim tool, or maybe two trim tools to get rid of, or to get this piece of wood off. What you want to do is feel under here. You're going to find a little hole. Let's go ahead and, if you have a small screwdriver or a trim tool, there's a metal clip in here. So you want to go ahead and push that out of the way, and just very slowly and very carefully just go on and continue to pry up. Once you're able to see that metal clip, you want to just go ahead and just very carefully guide it, and I'll show you what you're guiding it around. Just go ahead and pull that off. So if you can see here, there's a big clip right here, and there's a piece of metal right here. There's a metal tab. So what you're doing when you stick your trim tool up, or a small screwdriver, what you want to do is you want to try to press that tab in to get it around this piece of plastic. And then on the other side, what you're going to have is there's four metal clips. Sometimes they'll get stuck like this one did. So all you want to do is just pull it back off. Press that back on like that. So when you go to reinstall it, what you do is you take the little clip, you push it up first, and then you can just go ahead and press it in. But we're gonna wrap it first, so let's get the rest of the trim. Okay, so now what we wanna do is we're going to remove this piece of trim right here. So what I like to do is just pull up as much as you can, so you can slide your trim tool under there and just go along and gently lift and pry up. Okay, just be very careful. Then when you rock it forward, there's three T20 screws. So just go ahead and remove those. Okay, and then once you do that, you can remove the iDrive controller. And here you can see our trim, and it just has the 6 other fasteners that hold it in. So that's what you can just pry it up. We'll just set this to the side for now. For this trim, I don't even really use a trim tool. I just go ahead and just try to grab it. Just very slowly rock it forward. With this, there's 2 small pins on that side. Just be very careful with the trim because it is very thin over there. Then here you're going to have 2 connections. One's for the lower dial, and then the other one is for the top switch. What you can do is, if you actually push from behind, you can get this connection out. And then this is a lot easier to get from here than working behind, because there's some other things in the way, as you can see. And then with the other one, you just go ahead and disconnect that. So once you've disconnected these 2 connections, we're going to just take it as is, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with that. And the last piece of trim is just the piece right here. So again, you can just take a trim tool. You might not even need one. Just go ahead and very carefully pry this up. You can see I have a gauge in mine, so I'm going to have some extra wires that you're not going to have probably. So I'm just going to disconnect that. And that's it, so let's go ahead and start wrapping. Alright, so here we have our little station set up. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you go over these with some kind of alcohol. Just make sure that everything is nice and clean. There's no sticky residue. You want to make sure that the film is going to adhere as best as it can. So just go ahead and make sure that you clean that really good. Now with the vent ones, I'm not actually going to go back and take the vent out. What I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to just go ahead and just cut around the edge here. You can take the vent off if you like. It's a little, it's really cold here right now, so I don't want to break the plastic. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to wrap it with it on. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap the biggest piece first. I'm just going to move these out of the way. When you do the other door handles, they all come off exactly the same way. So I just showed you one instead of doing the same thing a couple times. Okay, so go ahead and make sure that you have a piece of vinyl that's larger than what you need. And this piece does that. I would rather have extra than cut it a little bit short. Now if you have a piece of vinyl that's a little bit wrinkly, what you can do is you can just go ahead, you can see just from being rolled up, this has some creases in it. But what you can do is you can just go ahead and heat it up, and then all those creases will come right out. Okay, so now what you want to do, go ahead and just lay this on here. Just make sure that you have the pattern going the way that you'd like it to go. And the nice thing about vinyl is it's very forgiving. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to try to see the rough layout. Try to get it to sit on some of these parts up here. And then just with your hand, just go ahead and just start to make the film lie down. Okay. So you'll get some small bubbles along the way. And what you can do is just go ahead and just lift it up and just smoothen it out. I like to try to get as much done without a heat gun as I can, so then when you actually need it, you can go back and use that heat. We'll definitely need it around the corners and such. But for the most part, what we're going to do is just push it down. And a lot of the film now has air release, so as you press on it, it should lay flat, so you won't have bubbles. So you can see that just even by just a little bit of pressing on the film, everything is laying nice and flat. And don't worry if you get a little crease like that. All you need to do is just lift the film up. Just heat it and just lay it back down. And you'll be able to get those creases right out. And then once you start to get to more of the curves, you may need to just use a little bit of heat. Just remember, a little bit of heat goes a long way. Okay, so again, if you come up on any creases or anything, you just heat them up and they'll go away. And do your best not to stretch the vinyl at this point, because you don't want the carbon fiber pattern to be warped looking. Alright, so at this point we can go ahead and we could flip it over. I want to cut some of this excess off, just so it doesn't get in my way. Just be very careful and just cut some of that extra off. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to heat it and wrap it around this back edge, and then we'll go back and we'll cut the bottom off. So just go ahead and heat it up, pull it back, and then if you can see this, there's like a little lip here. Just go ahead and tuck that there, and then we're going to go back, cut that off with a knife, and then we're going to trace out the metal part down the bottom, and then we'll be done soon. And again, with this, you don't need a ton of heat, just enough to soften the vinyl. Once you get to the corners, you want to just go ahead and just be as careful as you can. And I like to try to lay the whole corner at one time. So pop it up. Just press it down on the corner so that way when you wrap it around, you don't get excess film to the right or to the left. Really good. Yeah, just be very careful not to stretch it because you don't want it to look warped and wavy. Alright, so I have a little bit of a creasing issue down here, but this is easy to fix because all I need to do is just go ahead and lift it up. Apply a little bit of heat. And I'm not even, as you've seen the whole time, I'm not even using any tools. Just go ahead and press that back down. That'll lay nice. Now for this next part, what I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and cut straight across the bottom along that, where the metal you can see sticking out here meets the wood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and heat it up, and I'm just going to take my nail and just make a little bit of a crease. Then I'm going to go back with a knife and just cut it. The reason I'm heating it first is just so that the vinyl gets nice and soft, and then I can see exactly where I need to cut. Now very carefully what I'm going to do is go ahead and just take a really sharp knife. We're just going to cut along that edge there that I just traced with my nail. Especially when you're going to get it started. So over here is a little tricky because there's a bit of a curve to it. But again, if you have that little nail indent, it'll help you kind of figure out where you need to be. Okay. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then what we'll do is on the back, you want to just be very careful. And I'm just going to give it maybe a 1/4 inch or so, just so it has something to actually stick to and it can kind of hang on. And vinyl lasts much longer on the inside of a car than it does the outside, so you don't have to worry about it too much. And if your cut's not perfectly straight, how many people are going to be looking behind your trim, so you should be okay. All right, and then just take your heat gun one more time and just go along the edge, make sure that everything sticks down good. Okay, so now we're here. Everything is almost done. It's looking really good. I still have some just very minor creases that I'm going to go back and get out later. A lot of those will just come right out. We just need to make one more cut though, just to cut out the vents. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and do the same thing we did before, just heat it up. Just use your nail, or you could use a trim tool. The only thing with the trim tool is sometimes it's a little bit thick, or if you have some kind of pick tool maybe. I just wouldn't recommend just starting directly with a knife. Alright, so now I have my cut here. Just gonna get a fresh blade again. Of course. And what I try to do is I try to push towards the vent side. So you just have a little bit extra on the wood side. Okay. Just carefully remove this. You can go back with a trim tool or something and then just try to push down that edge. Alright, so this piece is pretty much done. Again, I have some final touches that I have to do just a little bit later. But for the most part, everything looks good. Just make sure, don't forget to push down this edge as well. Okay, and then this one right over here. Alright, so that looks good. So let's move on to the next piece. Alright, so now we're on to piece 2. So again, go ahead and make sure that it is nice and clean. And go ahead and just get a piece larger than we need. Let's go ahead and use your hand to just smooth everything out. Do as much as you can without the heat gun. Go ahead and heat it up. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to heat it and wrap it around. Okay, now you're going to use your special tool, your thumbnail, and go ahead and just trace this line. This piece is really small, so it's pretty easy to do. Just don't get overconfident, because whenever I get overconfident is when I fail. Okay, so same as before, just go ahead and just very carefully cut that out. And again, try to err on the side of the plastic so you don't accidentally mess up your lines. Now you can go back and just cut it like we did the other side, and then just heat it and make sure everything is like. Give it a last heat up. Just go ahead and finish tucking that in. Okay, so this looks pretty good so far. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next piece. Okay, moving on to the door handle. And this is the same process for all four. Make sure that your pattern is the way you like it to be. And then make sure that when you originally place it on here, you have plenty of extra vinyl to actually wrap it around. Okay, so because you can see the top first when you get in your car, I'm going to start on the top and really focus there. And then I'll work my way down. Alright, so once you've done the base, what you can do is you can go ahead and just start to pull it and wrap it around. Just kind of roll your thumb over it. That'll help you from actually stretching it. Alright, so at this point, everything looks pretty cool. We're going to go ahead and just cut off a lot of that excess. And what I like to do when I'm doing this is I like to keep this finger here, and then if you plant this finger, I'll show you on the outside. If you just plant this finger, I kind of just use that as a guide. So that way when you're cutting the line, it's not perfectly straight by any means, but it's not too crazy. It just kind of keeps it under control a little bit. You can see along here it's fairly consistent. Alright, so once you've done that, go ahead and heat everything up again and just press it down. Alright, so now this piece is done as well. I've already gone ahead and actually done the other three. So let's go ahead and move on to our last piece. Alright, so we have our last piece. Go ahead and make sure it's clean. Lay your film on there. And just the same thing we've been doing the whole time. Try to get these flat parts nice. No matter what kind of car, it's all basically the same. A lot of even the BMWs, a lot of them snap together just like the F30. Even the M4s, it's the exact same pieces that are in an F30. Alright, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and we'll go around the outside first, and then we'll go ahead and we'll go back and cut that out. Now, one thing I forgot, before you actually finish the back here, what you want to do is you want to heat these grooves up right here, and then you can go ahead and push the air out. And having the back open is really going to help all of the air be able to escape, so it just sits absolutely perfect. Alright, so then we'll go ahead and we'll cut off the excess. Okay, then give it that heat up. Now go ahead and heat up the middle here. You'll see it'll get really tight. And then just go ahead and just press it down. Just make sure that you don't burn a hole in it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut a little bit of a hole here. Just make sure you don't cut your hand underneath. Just keep heating and then just grab these pieces and just tuck them underneath. Alright, so at this point, everything is completely done on this. Everything is nice and tucked underneath. So let's go ahead and put it back on the car. Alright, so now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and just slide the top up. Just make sure that everything is clipped into place. And that piece is now fully installed. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll reinstall this piece of trim. So just take the square looking connection and just go ahead and feed that all the way through and connect the flatter one here. Go ahead and line that up. Just give it a little push. Everything will snap in. Okay. Then go ahead and find your switch that we disconnected earlier. Get that, just pop it back in. Alright, so then what you want to do is take your trim here and go ahead and just gently slide your iDrive controller in. Take your 3T20 screws. If you're using a drill, make sure it's on a light setting, otherwise you can crack the plastic. And just take this piece, just line it up, just give it a little push. Okay, that sits nice, and then we just have one more piece. Alright, last but not least, we have our side vent here. Just have to plug my gauge back in. Okay. Just go ahead and slide that straight in. And at this point, we're all done. So let's go ahead and check it out. All right, so here you can see some of the trim that we did. So we did this handle, we did this vent up here, and then we did all of this trim up here. You see it's all carbon fiber trim down here. And then the other doors, you can see working on some cool stuff. So some cool videos coming up soon. But overall, you know, with the addition of the mirrors, and then we also have the roof, just a couple other things. I think overall I spent about $75 on vinyl, and I was able to do my entire roof. I did the shark fin, I did all of the interior trim, I did the mirrors. Actually did this one twice because I had it done and then I ripped it off so I can make a video. And I actually still have a good amount left over, so 75 bucks of vinyl will take you pretty far. So again, this is Brian. Thanks so much for watching, and let us know if you have any questions, and make sure to subscribe. Thanks so much. Have a good day.